Welcome to our presentation on snowfall trends at ski resorts across Alberta and British Columbia. Over the past decade, the ski industry has been increasingly impacted by climate variability. From La Nina winters to longer-term warming trends, snow conditions have shifted, sometimes drastically. Today we're asking, how has snowfall changed over time at different ski resorts? Are those patterns tied to global events like La Nina, or is this part of a natural cycle? And are certain regions more affected than others? We analyzed data from 15 ski resorts between 2014 and 2024 to uncover any climate-related trends that might be emerging. This first chart shows the average annual temperature for each resort across the 10-year period. And what you'll notice here is there's a slight but consistent warming trend. When I move this to highlight all of the different resorts, you can see it increases about 0.3% overall. So a very gradual, slow resort. If we are to isolate this to resorts that are east of the Rockies, you can see the average temperature dips a little, but it actually does increase a bit more over time. Let's try Whistler here. Whistler and Cypress, as far west as you can. You can see the average temperature is actually quite high. It's almost 5 degrees higher than those on the other side of the Rockies. But overall, bringing these all together, we're still seeing a slow, gradual incline. So interestingly enough, there's been a dip around 2021, which aligns with a known La Nina event, which La Nina years are typically associated with cooler and wetter conditions. And this dip can actually be seen pretty much across all the resorts here. So moving on, we've got a satellite heat map, and this highlights all the different years, and we can filter based on the different temperatures, average annual temperatures. So as we get cooler, you can see we're only isolating to those that are east of the Rockies or quite deep inside of the Rockies. So there's a bit of a trend there in terms of geographic location. This map gives us a pretty good geographic context. So the warmer resorts, those closer to the Pacific, like I mentioned, west of the Rockies, Whistler, Cypress, obviously these two here, and then the cooler resorts as you start to move a little bit further east and north as well, although there wasn't a lot of difference between Marmot, quite far north, and some of these resorts almost down by the US border here. And so we found the further inland we went, it was more of an indicator around the temperature as opposed to the elevation, which did vary a fair bit between some of these resorts as well. It's a pretty good visual on how the average the geography impacts the climate and sets the stage for how the snowfall varies as well. So I'm going to hand off to Judy here. She's going to talk a little bit about snowfall over time per resort. So take it away, Judy.
And yeah, thank you for that. Now, let's look at actual snowfall data. This slide charts yearly snowfall totals for each resort. Some years really stand out, like Whistler in 2017 with over 500 inches and Panorama with 400 inches in 2014. Yeah, that one. And then on the lower end, Lower Cypress saw 35 inches in 2015, which is a sharp contrast, specifically being so close to Whistler. Overall, most resorts tend to average around 200 to 250 inches per season, but the spread suggests that location and local weather patterns play a big role. And then next, the average temperature versus the snowfall. This dual axis chart compares average temperature to snowfall totals year over year. You'll see the two trend lines. Temperature is gradually rising, while snowfall is gradually declining from about 225 inches in 2014 to roughly 210 inches in recent years. We've also marked La Nina years and El Nino years. The cooler La Nina years tend to correlate with higher snowfalls, while warmer El Nino years often bring less snow. So while long-term climate change appears to be having an effect, short-term climate events like La Nina also play a role. And I'm going to hand it over to Lacan for the next presentation.
Thank you, Judy. So this scatter plot compares resort elevation to average temperature. As expected, higher elevation resorts tend to be cooler. However, elevation alone doesn't predict snowfall. Some lower elevation resorts in wetter regions still receives significant snow due to their specific location and prevailing weather patterns. This suggests that regional climate conditions, rather than just elevation, are key to understanding snowfall trends. So, what have we learned? First of all, snowfall has gradually declined over the past 10 years across most resorts, though not dramatically. Secondly, temperatures are slowly rising with about a 0.3 degrees Celsius increase across the board. Third, climate events like La Nina and El Nino clearly impact snowfall year to year, but there's also an underlying warming trend that may be affecting snowfall longer term. Geography matters. Coastal versus inland, elevation, and local patterns all influence conditions differently. While more data is needed for long-term forecasting, our findings suggest that climate change is already making subtle shifts in snowfall patterns, especially when paired with extreme climate events. So go ski while you still can, and thank you for listening.